David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Just the rationale on making the trade today for Kelvin Joseph, what he did for you here, what you feel the new guy will bring, and you can pronounce his last name for us too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the number one, I'm thankful for what Kelvin gave us the last 2 years. I had a chance to visit with him before he left. But I mean, there's a lot of conversations that go on through this, and I mean, and part of it from his vantage point, he has an opportunity in Miami to play inside. So he was a little further, down the line there for us. But he outstanding special teams, played inside and outside for us, nickel and the outside corner. So just on how our roster came together, and I really don't want to get into specifics that lean towards this will work itself out and talk about it in a day or so. But just the way we're looking at our defensive backfield, we thought this was a move we were interested in.
Is it fair to say too that he did show an ability inside in preseason? Did that kind of help facilitate this deal? It may have been difficult otherwise, but
and I'm not the guy on the phone in a trade conversation. So, but I do know there is interest, from Miami because of his ability that he showed inside. I mean, it's just like anything. Our personnel department's looking at the other 31 teams, and you're assessing value all the time. This goes on year round, and obviously this is this is such a so many names at once. Actually our personnel guys got a long 24 hours in front of them. They have a long night in front of them. But I think when Kelvin went inside in the preseason, people noticed.
Clarence Hill, Four-Star Telegram. What on the side of the trade, Noah? What do you like about him? And I don't know, how did y'all have him in the draft? And what was your
I liked him coming out. I do recall his kickoff return ability too. Vertical speed. But he's more outside than inside, and and that was part of the interest. Part of the reason why we had the interest. But you see him lining up against top receivers. I was impressed with his video. So I think he's a really good addition for us.
Why did he not work out in Miami?
I can't answer that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure the specifics of that.
Todd Archer with ESPN. How close does this mean Jordan Lewis is to getting on the field for if you guys keep on the field?
Yeah, Jordan's he's kept pushing ahead of schedule, and and it definitely looks like he's gonna make it here. So I mean, we're really a testament to him and the rehab process. So, but as far as we don't have specific, I can't give you when he's going to be on the field, but he's further ahead than we would anticipate at this time.
And then for if Kelvin was down the line for you guys in the slot work and wherever Jordan fits in behind Duran, who else do you have that can play the slots for you?
Well, Iz has been playing in there too. So, but I think the other part too is, how we distribute, the safeties, and I think there'll be some clarity to the depth chart once we get past tomorrow.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. The decision to only go 3 tight ends and not have Sean as part of the thing, I'm sure wasn't an easy one. What was the back and forth there, and ultimately why was this the right call?
Well, not to be a broken record, but I believe this wholeheartedly, and I've done this for a long time. I've been in draft and developed since 2006, and the goal is always to keep 69 to 70 of these guys. Obviously the third quarterback, now plays into that. So, and it's a chess match, and it's these are conversations that you don't look forward to having, because when you look a young man in the eye and he's done everything you asked him to do, and he definitely has earned the opportunity to be on the 53, and you don't have the right enough spots based off how you think this whole thing's going to evolve. And I go back to the Super Bowl year in 2010, and 77 players played on, for that team, and that's what it takes, and history will tell you that. So, and that's part of that decision, and I think Hunter, his performance against the Raiders, it was obviously something that you had to take notice of. We were obviously very high on him, and the benefit of 3 preseason games is less risk for injury, but the flip side of that is you don't really have probably as much time as you'd like or you normally have to get all your players evaluated.
John Michaud, The Athletic, without Jabril Cox, I mean, it looks pretty thin at linebacker. Is that just because of what you guys think your safeties can do at linebacker, or is that because there's more moves to be made?
Yeah, and I think, once you see us get going, it'll answer itself. But, are you counting Mike as a linebacker? So if you, count him as a half player, so, all those things. But, this is the deepest safety group that I can recall, and that gives us a lot of flexibility.
Saad.
Mike Stockies with The Athletic. How do you assess your offensive line situation, where the depth is, and how confident are you going forward with that?
Well, I'm confident in our players, but just the way we are, formatting this 53 in the practice squad, I think it'll obviously answer itself tomorrow. But I have confidence in our players, and I really like our younger players. So, and I think they've have done a really good job, probably better than we may have anticipated. I think the injuries or the opportunities, with Zach not being there, Tyron on a pitch count. I mean, our young guys played a lot of football in training camp, and so it gave us a really good look at those guys.
Speaking of those young players, TJ Bass, what did he show that kind of put him in that conversation?
Just kept getting better. Obviously you see his lower, his lower strength, leg strength, and just his ability to stick and stay on inside people, and but just kept improving. Like his mindset. He plays the right way. So definitely a young man that earned a spot.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Was Cox's injury kind of delayed him or halted what you expected from him in some ways?
Jabril Cox?
Yeah.
Well, my conversation today with him, I just praised him for how he overcame the injury. I just think, major joint injuries, you look at the history, it's usually a year before you go through everything for the first time and you get past it. But I thought he did an outstanding job of overcoming it, because you can see he was struggling on it when within that first year. So I thought I felt like he was back to being the original Jabril, as far as seeing it and just the way he's moving and so forth. But competitive situation, and our defense is dynamic for a reason. We have really good numbers over there. So, but I was very pleased with the way Jabril came back, and I thought he improved this camp.
D-line, was that just probably outside of Bahana, was that like we got too many good guys so we can't look up?
Yeah, and you can't find big guys. It's let's be honest. I mean, you got to be cognizant of that. And when we started this back in 2020, we after that season we totally redid that room. So and now you're seeing the benefits of it. Between the draft classes that we put together and the way those guys have all ascended.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. You're a quarterback guy in this expanded practice squad era. Do you see a scenario of keeping a fourth quarterback, or is that for an extreme like you had in 2020?
I hope so. I'd be all for it. But we just got to look at we got to look at these other numbers. And we have some positions that are not of normal numbers. So, but yes, I mean, if Will Greer gets picked up on the 53, he definitely deserves it. But I'd love to have him back as a fourth quarterback. So I mean, I think 4 quarterbacks in an NFL organization makes way too much sense. So, but how you get that done sometimes is a challenge.
Michael, your backup center, who would appear is not currently in the building. What are your thoughts just about the road ahead to prepare someone who's not here to be active week 1?
Well, I think they're part of the. I don't know why the hell I'm doing this press conference today too. That's what I said when I come over here. But I mean, I should be here tomorrow. But so why don't you look me up tomorrow? So.
Carlos Nava, ESPN Deportes. Coach, what's your evaluation on Isaac Alarcón, training camp and preseason?
His evaluation?
Yeah.
I mean, Isaac will be, one of the, clearly one of my favorites. That players have walked through the doors here in my time here. But he just improved in every way. I mean, I'm so proud of him and the way he represents himself, the way he represents his family, the way he represents his country. And, you know, he took this opportunity, you know, very serious and maximized it. You know, like I told him yesterday, I wish we'd have moved him to defensive line sooner because I think he's more natural in the defensive line. But I mean, he's changed his body. I mean, he's crushed it in the weight room, nutrition. I mean, he did everything we asked him to do. He did a great job.
David.
Mike, with the expanded practice squad, and now you can elevate 3 guys, and so you can talk and reach deals with vested veterans to come back. Can you talk about how different that is made putting the roster together, and how much of that process happens before this starts, so you know how you can kind of piece it together?
You know, the pandemic gave us, you know, roster ability to, you know, be flexible with the roster, and I think it's been outstanding for, you know, for our game. Because at the end of the day, and I would think we'd all coaches think this way. You know, you work so hard, the personnel department, the coaching staff, to build a 90-man roster. You work with these men starting in April. You know, there's definitely going to be 70 of them that you want to continue to work with. That's been my experience. So, whatever way that you can, you know, based off the, you know, all the ins and outs of the, you know, roster development plan, you got to utilize it. So I think it's great, and I think it's good for veteran players too. You know, it keeps them going. You know, this game, you know, just look at the cap and the structure financially. You know, there's a lot of players in their mid years that lose out on opportunities. You know, because, you know, your draft classes are usually going to make it. You know, then you have a certain number of guys that make a lot of money, but, you know, that group in the middle there, you know, it keeps those guys alive. So the veteran practice squad is probably one of the best additions that I've seen because it just keeps everybody alive.
Do those discussions start individually with players early in camp, or do you not want to do it too
no.
early? It's
No,
all this really in the 4 or 5 days here.
Yeah, it's all in the fourth quarter. I mean, because at the end of the day, and it's just, you know, and everybody's different. You know, you get the first preseason game, people want to pick the 53. You got to be kidding me. I just think it's terrible. It's just mindset-wise, you know, just because you got to give these men a chance because, you know, look at the last game. I mean, there's some great production, some outstanding performances in that game that, you know, that caused a lot of healthy conversation, you know, after that. So you have to take that all in. So yeah, but those conversations, in my experience, I mean, now I have been part of conversations if the player brings it to you, and you know, and I think just like anything in life, you know, there's opinions, but also, you know, there's agendas, and there's a big difference. So so I would go down that road in those particular situations if the player, you know, as a possibility. But no, I don't think it's healthy to initiate those conversations too soon.
Mike, when you look at the offensive line, if there is something that happens, how much do you look at the starting 5 and their flexibility to play different positions as part of the equation of where a hole would be fit? You know, with, for example, Tyler being able to play left guard, left tackle, are you going to look to maybe move those guys around first before you fill in?
Well, I think the goal is always, you know, to get your, you know, the best 5 experienced, connected guys on the field. I think sometimes, you know, we focus so much on talent, but the connection of those guys is I mean, everything's that far away. So I mean, you know, their connection is probably the biggest challenge of any position, frankly, in my opinion. So yeah, position flex is important, increases each individual's value. And it's more important in the O lineman from, you know, number 6 through 10. That's where position flex is probably the most important, because if you're a starter, then, you know, if you're starting, you know, right guard and you're playing at an extremely high level, then that's probably the best way for, you know, for job security. But the position flex is what you're always looking for, and that's why, you know, when you keep 2 or 3, you know, first-year offensive linemen, it's a little bit of a challenge. You obviously need some veteran players that have that flex.
Todd. Mike, you spend these last couple of days telling guys that they didn't make it. This might be stupid. Do you tell guys that you made it?
What do you mean?
Tell guys that they made the team? You ever, like the guys at the end, do you ever have those
Yeah,
discussions with those guys?
we've been working all day with the guys that made it. So.
Right, I didn't know if you
Yeah.
had special calls with those guys to say,
Well,
before you get out of practice.
you know, this incredible bye week that we've come up with, you know, it's it's a regulated schedule. So this is one of our work days with our team.
Nick?
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. Brandon Aubrey's journey's been short here, limited experience, but obviously has shown some great things. Why are you confident in him taking that flight to New York next week?
Well, I mean, let's remember he just came out of a season too. So I mean, I'm not looking at him as as a player who just come out of college. So, but I think the decision to go with him as early as we did was the right decision on a number of fronts because it gave him all the reps. You got to see him work. So I do. I like the way he goes about it. You can see the three guys working together. How the operation just came together, and I feel like those guys have been in sync really since the second preseason game.
And he's a part of 11 rookies that made this initial 53, all 8 draft picks and 3 undrafted guys. Have you had that many before on an initial 53? And just what does that speak about the rookie class?
Well, what's the percentage at? Anybody do the math?
20 something.
Yeah. So my goal's always been 20 to 24%. That's kind of the realm that that I'm accustomed to. So that's a good number.
Last one, Brad.
Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio. Is Lipke one of those guys that you were talking about who impacted his future in the last game?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you could see him really coming on, the last couple of weeks in training camp, in the competitive periods, I think just, which is normal. Everybody has a little bit different starting line. It was moving fast for him in the beginning, but I've been impressed. He's done something almost every day in the last couple of weeks that you definitely had to notice.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.